their second time through. So I guess since last time, in terms of gameplay questions, strategy, play style, play time, warm up, any outside the replay code questions or things that you wanted to go over?
I'd say everything's mostly been the same. The only big change is I joined a CGL team.
Yeah.
So I've been like scrimming and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I've changed my hero pool pretty drastically just to like kind of complement that because I was kind of the tracer player.
Yep.
And so like I might as well also just be the flex player in general because they already have hit scan players.
Okay.
So I've been playing basically mostly tracer and then also Genji Echo. Those are like my
Okay.
three.
Okay. So basically like the flex projectile DPS plus tracer. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
How's that been going? You enjoying playing those characters?
I think it's been really good for my ranked play because, like, usually I was kind of like, I'm just going to play meta. Like, beginning season 9, I was like, Sojourn Tracer, these are strong. This is who I'll play. But it can be kind of frustrating when it's like Circuit Royale, I'll play Sojourn, and I have a Roadhog playing into like Ana Zen. And it's like, why should I be
Yeah.
playing meta when he's like doesn't care? So
Yeah.
I really love Genji Echo Tracer. So it's like nice that it's like, if I have the Roadhog one trick, it's fine. I'm playing heroes that I really enjoy anyways.
Right. That's good. So ironically, you being on a team has given you responsibilities, and those responsibilities have ended up putting you in a hero pool that you like better anyway.
Yeah, it's worked out really well.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. And I think with good Genji, Tracer, Echo, you're going to have something for every situation, pretty much. Like Tracer's very flexible, Genji's very flexible, Echo provides a little bit of value here, I'm sure, as well. So perfect. Okay, good. I'm glad that's going well. What's your like playtime breakdown of like how much you're playing of each of those characters? I assume it's probably like Tracer, Genji, and Echo in that order.
Uh, Pretty much. When I'm scrimming, it's almost exclusively Tracer, just because like that's kind of still the meta.
Yep.
And in ranked, yeah, I'd say it's pretty even. I've been really trying to force Echo because I want to learn her, but like if I'm really trying to win a game or we're losing bad, it's usually probably defaulting to Tracer.
Yeah. So you definitely think that like your Echo is like a pretty decent step behind your other characters then.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, sounds good. That might be something that you want to look into when it comes to your like a Smurf or something, just because what you want to do is you don't want that gap to be too big, right? But if you feel like, oh, I don't play Echo that much, and then when I do play her, I have to swap out. Like you're always going to have strong and comfortable, like weak heroes, right? But you don't want that gap to be too big. And if it is, you might want to look into having an alt account that you just play only Echo on whatever until like that gap has been closed a little bit.
It's actually funny that you say that because I do kind of do that. It's not in the same way. I have an alt account that's like my sweaty solo queue ranked one. And then
Yep.
I have my main account that I play with friends on because no offense to my friends, they're not really all that great at the game.
Yeah.
So on my friend account, I've been really forcing the Echo a lot.
Okay, perfect. That's what we want to do. Because what that'll end up doing is that will force you to kind of like you don't want to smurf, but you want to have something where like you're challenged on Echo, but you're not like because like if you were to force Echo on your main, you just lose a lot of games, and then
exactly.
Your Tracer Genji games would be too easy, and your Echo games would be too hard, and it'd just be like kind of a mess. So okay, well as long as you have that approach, then okay. In terms of playtime overall, any questions, breaks, warm up, anything like that? I know we talked a little bit about Vaxta last time, but how's that been overall?
Pretty good. I also think having the two accounts has helped my warm up too, because like I'll usually play with my friends first, and then I'll like switch to my other account, so then I'm like really warmed up for ranked.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. You still taking breaks? You still feeling
Yeah.
good with the way that you're playing? Okay. Sounds good. Skimming form. DPS play, certain scenarios, comfortable mid high diamonds.
Oh, I did want to bring one thing up.
Yeah, sure.
You are welcome to post this to YouTube if that changes like anything how you
Oh,
record.
yeah.
But yeah, you can go ahead and make this public.
That's very generous of you. Okay. I'll have it unlisted for a little bit, and I'll have it demonetized so you don't have to deal with ads when you're watching your own video.
Okay.
But yeah, I appreciate that. That'll be very helpful. Okay. Sleep is definitely still a little bit on the lower end, but I think that's just me being nitpicky. Could always be better. Okay, let's keep going here. So you obviously have a bit of a clip dump here in terms of our DMs, and seeing Genji, Tracer, Echo. Now, explain to me what all this means in the DMs.
Most of that is just like stuff that I have been seeing in my own gameplay. Um, so like in general, I've noticed that I struggle with like distraction value when like my tank or someone is like feeding on the team, and then like I put like individual notes. Like Tracer, I think my biggest issue right now is like egoing, blink management, and then I call them oh shit choices, which I have
Yeah.
a timestamp for that one.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Sounds good.
so
So
yeah, I
why
think
don't we go down the list of these things to just talk about each of them really quickly here? Some of them will be really quick, and then some of them will go over in the game. But like I think we can address these pretty quickly.
okay.
Okay, so general forcing plays, feeling need to carry distraction value when my tank is boner fart 69. Yeah. Okay, so I think the key thing there is when you are you need to be a threat to be a distraction, right?
Mhm.
So once you've locked in the threat and you are distracting, the key thing is to number one, be a distraction for as long as you possibly can. And then number two, to live if you can with that distraction, if that makes sense. I think it's relatively straightforward. I think that it can feel like, oh, distracting doesn't work when I have a bad tank, but that's not true. It just means that you need to distract more for longer.
Okay.
Now, obviously, if you can get a kill while you're distracting, like we'll take a look at that. Like you should be aiming to get kills while you're distracting. But like if you feel like, okay, I'm facing a permanent 2v1 and I'm like living and living and living and living and living, your team will win that fight. And if they don't, you're still doing the right thing. Go next game.
Okay, so I think my I had a really extreme game. I didn't not one of the ones I sent you, but it was one where I was like consistently getting the 1v2 and like living it as long as I could, and my team was losing their 4v3. Or would you say
Yeah,
like those extreme cases are kind of just like go
it
next?
happen. It happens sometimes. I had a couple of games like that in Venture yesterday, which were like I was freaking screaming at my screen, but like it just happens. Go next.
Okay.
We could take a look at that code, not the whole thing, but maybe look at a couple of fights that come to mind and see like if you were doing what you think you're doing, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
That might be useful. Do you still have the codes or did it get wiped?
Those ones got wiped, but the code I did send you,
Yeah.
there were a couple fights for sure where my Ryan was low key getting Ryan gapped. And
Yeah.
so I think that there's probably still a couple fights where that
Okay.
will come to
Perfect.
mind.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So working around double flex DPS, specifically Junk and Hans was trying to put on enough pressure compared to it on Sojourn. So you're saying playing into double flex or playing as double flex?
Playing, I think it might be like similar to the last thing, but like if I'm on Tracer, I'm not necessarily putting out like crazy damage numbers, nor am I putting like a lot of pressure on their tank. And then let's say I have like someone else that does something similar to that, like a Junkrat who's like really playing like the flank rat style. So like
Yeah.
their tank has like zero pressure on him. Um, I don't. That's just like I guess the answer is probably just kill their backline faster.
Well, the thing
Um,
is the thing you have to understand, like when we're talking about like these really like high output DPS characters like Junkrat, Hanzo, Pharah, and so on, or Bastion, is that they're really high output that you can't really compete with any of your characters besides maybe Echo. But then also they're very fragile to being distracted. So like let's say that you're on a Bastion as Tracer. Bastion turns and looks at you, he's not doing any damage at all. Like nothing. You kind of see what I'm saying? So
mhm.
like what you end up having is like when you play versus these like really high octane, high output things, they're very vulnerable to being distracted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if you're going onto an Ana Zen Hanzo backline, yeah, your tank's gonna have a bad time, but your tank's only gonna have a bad time if that Ana Zen Hanzo are not looking at you. And you should be able to make them look at you, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that does.
Um, why ever pick Genji over Tracer? Verticality. Verticality.
Okay, that's kind of what. So I had like in my mind, usually when I'm picking Genji, outside of just like I want to play Genji, is
Yeah.
usually like the crazy vertical maps like Watchpoint, Gibraltar,
Yep.
and then I also feel a little more comfortable with him against like sniper heroes too.
Yep. That's pretty consistent. That's pretty consistent. I think like anything when there's some sort of verticality, like the early spots of Rialto first, the late spots of Rialto second. I think if we go to like a map like Havana, second point, Genji's going to feel pretty good in that map, but then Genji's going to struggle at certain points later on in the map. I think if you look at a map like, oh gosh, Oasis, for example, Oasis City
Mhm.
Center, right? Genji and Tracer are going to feel pretty good there. But if you move to like Oasis Garden, Genji might feel a little bit more consistent versus like the ranked compositions on point, right? Just because of the
Yeah.
verticality there. Like there's basically, I would say Tracer is going to be probably more flexible than Genji by a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of maps where Genji's just better. And also, it's not just you that Genji feels better versus snipers. Like if you can get close to snipers, Genji's going to feel better than Tracer.
Mhm.
The difference is sometimes the map is so big that Genji can't get close to the snipers. That's when you have problems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And that's where Tracer's better. I will say on maps like Gibraltar, Genji's better at dialectic contesting the high ground, but Tracer can also do things like push cart better. So that's just like a little detail. Okay, main focus has been positioning and timing mechanics on autopilot. Okay, sounds good. Genji, trouble committing. Talk to me about trouble committing.
Honestly, I don't. I think I watched too much Necros maybe because like the way he plays, I think like just doesn't work for me. So I've been trying to like fix it and make Genji play more like how I play Tracer. But
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of times I'll be watching like a fight on with me on Genji, and I spend like a lot of time just like poking, and like then the fight's lost, and I realize like I never even used dash or deflect or literally anything.
right, right,
Um,
right. I think the thing is like you got to remember that like the goal with Genji is like your job is to get, like you said, get your like take angles that are going to force your cooldowns, but never, but always in an intelligent way, and never just like brain dead going in on main or whatever, just dashing and getting your combo. If you don't get the combo, you die, kind of a thing, right?
mhm.
It's just like you want to be like stress testing yourself in the same way with Tracer. Like if you're not getting your recall force with Tracer, you're probably not playing quote unquote aggressively enough. If you're not getting your flight forces echo, you're probably not taking as good of an angle as you possibly could, right? So I guess I would just say like treat Genji like a cyclical character where you have your cooldowns, you take a more aggressive position, rinse and repeat. Um, okay, the cute angle versus the obvious angle. I could pretty much understand this, but elaborate.
Yeah, I think it's like I think a good one is like Circle Royale first point. If I'm on Tracer, I'm gonna play like that side room and then maybe try and like double blink to the staircase and hold like that top high ground. And I can do that on Genji too. And so I guess like it's probably just situational, but like it when is that better versus when is taking like the extra time to wall climb over the roof and hit like that crazy flank.
Yeah,
Like
well, I think the first things first is like whenever you talk about like what advantage does the deep angle have over the easy angle on that particular
uh
situation?
just like element of surprise, it's harder to
Okay,
see.
so element of surprise, psychological, but it's more than that. It's more than that. How close are you when you go over the roof and you sneak up on them?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm
You
a
see what I'm
lot
saying?
closer.
You're a lot closer. So, in what situations as Genji do you want to be a lot closer? Well, if you're playing to snipers, stuff like a lot closer sounds a lot more attractive. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I'm playing versus like Sombras and Winstons and stuff like that, then I'm not going to try and necessarily be poke, poke, poke all the time. But I'm not as concerned about getting like playing more of like this short to medium range angle hold stuff, right? If that makes sense. So I guess it just depends on the situation. Like when there's a character that you literally cannot poke at all, even in medium range, you need to go for deeper angles. You need to go for the more cute angles. When you don't need to do cute angle because you already have an OP flank or you already are close. And you keep in mind, like that doesn't necessarily mean you should always be going for those flanks versus sniper characters. Like let's say that you're on a map where the normal boring angle is really, really close, right? Well, then you don't need to do anything. You're already effective, right? But in general, I think the deeper angles are usually because you want to get closer. It's like the general rule of thumb.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And like you said, there is the element of surprise and stuff like that. So you could just toy with it more. Okay, when to die versus when to flank. Well, again, that's kind of like that's saying like there's a difference between the two. There isn't really. I think the only difference is what you just said, which is I go for deep angle or I go for more shallow angle. That's the only difference in playstyle.
Okay.
There are no differences in playstyle in any character in Overwatch. The only difference is which angles that you choose and then do the exact same things from those angles. Like think about it this way. When you go deep flank onto the back line, you're going to go in, you're going to shoot, you're going to dash or use your dash, use your deflect, and then use your other cooldown to get out, right? Exact same thing you're going to do when you take a soft angle, right? There's no difference. The only difference
Okay,
is
yeah.
which angle that you choose. So you asked me when do I dive as Genji. I assume that by the way that you're saying that, you're thinking about like deep angle Genji, right? Well, whenever you want to get close to snipers, I would go deep angle. When do I like angle as Genji or whatever? Well, actually, you're saying dive versus flank. Again, it's like the same thing. You kind of see what I'm saying? It's like it's the same thing. Like when you go on a deep flank, you're probably quote unquote diving, right?
Okay, yeah.
Diving means closing the distance. That's what flanking usually is intended to do as well. So what's the difference?
I guess I was saying like maybe I mean, I think you still answered it, but I was saying like I guess maybe the difference is like diving. I was thinking using my dash, like committing dash, versus
Yeah.
flanking is like already being behind and having dash as like an escape.
Right. Okay. So when would you do which?
Probably just again like map and hero dependent.
Sure.
If it's
Sure.
like a widow, I can probably commit my dash and feel comfortable.
Sure.
But
Sure.
like if I'm going into like a May, I probably deflect is useless, so I want my dash.
Sure. Sure. Another thing to consider as well is that like honestly, you'd always want to save your dash, right? Always, but you can't always, right? Sometimes the target is too far away. Like in what circumstances would you want to use your dash to go in? Never. You'd always want to just walk and then be able to use your dash for damage, right? The difference is just sometimes you can't. Like sometimes the target is too far away. That's the key thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
Okay. Very inconsistent, either locked in and cracked or useless. Yeah, I mean, I'll link you a video about consistency with mechanics and so on. But there's a lot of factors that affect consistency. And these are like details that you can improve, but these that you really can't fully control your consistency because nobody is consistent, not even pro players. So I would take that into account. Watch that video when you get a chance, and if you have any questions about that, just message me directly.
Okay.
Okay. Tracer, egoing, no cover. Talk to me about that.
I think it's like the curse of console, because like no offense to my fellow consoles, but most of these people like just don't know how to aim on sticks, and so
Yeah.
I find myself a lot of the times like abusing that, and then I get shot from someone like way on a far angle that I like wasn't really thinking about, and then
Yeah.
like after the death, I'm always like, well, that was stupid. Like I'm literally in the middle of main right now.
Right.
So I think a lot of times I like am abusing my blinks a little too much and like doing like the fancy footwork, and it's working on the person that I am 1v1ing, but then like I'm like literally in the middle of main getting shot by like a widow.
Right. Right. I would say that the cover usage is just like any other skill in the game. It needs to be actively and purposefully practiced. So what I would do is like if you really want to like improve your cover usage, improve your consistency, maybe part of it is ego, but you know it's a problem. Like this isn't like some subconscious like disrespect. Like you know that, oh, I really do need to improve that because it is causing. It's just that it's not a part of your habits, right? It's not a part of your habits. I think it's really easy to kind of like conflate like a bad habit as something psychological when in reality it's just a bad habit, right?
Okay, yeah.
You just don't think about it. You're distracted. You're thinking about other things. There's not like an active ego or disrespect. It's just like there's other things to think about, right? And so the fact that you're getting away with it sometimes as well tells you all you need to know. So yeah, anyway, I would just say just practice it. Just practice it. Put it on our list of goals to work on with your tracer. Just actively thinking about your cover usage and don't worry too much about it. Let's keep going here. Blink management. Okay. Talk to me about that one.
I think for the most part it's similar to the previous one. Just like using blinks too much as like jukey fancy footwork when like I could just be holding cover and like
Sure.
basically get the same value out of it.
Sure.
I think sometimes I just get caught up too much in like the exciting jukes and stuff like that, and then I'm like out of blinks and like stuck.
Yep. Well, again, I would encourage you to be very specific with exactly what's going wrong with your blink management. Is it like, are you using blinks too late in the fight? Are you using a blink when cover usage would have been good? Like you brought up those things, but also like that doesn't give me enough insight about like what's really the problem here. I mean, we'll look at it, I'm sure, in the VOD, but like again, the key thing for you is like whenever you're improving and stuff, never be vague. Never be vague. I'll be like, I'm going to work on making sure I enter fights with 3 blinks. That is a very good thing to practice. You should practice that.
Okay.
I'm working like, or like the way that I use blinks. Like I need to be blinking to cover more, or I need to be doing 180 blinks instead of like these crappy, like weird, like 30-degree angle blinks that don't really give me any sort of advantage at all. I just think that there's like, you need to be very specific with what needs to be changing and then actually work at that. That's the key thing for me.
Okay.
And then getting caught with your pants down. We'll look at that already. Echo everything. So then it's nothing. Bonus Necros versus Kevster. Talk to me about that.
That was just like a funny little question that I've always wondered, but like it's mostly in general. Like, how do you think the one trick top 500s match to like their pro counterparts? Like Kevster's not a Genji main, but do you think Kevster's still a better Genji?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevster's 100% a better Genji, but maybe not even necessarily mechanically. I think like a lot of the one tricks oftentimes will have like pretty reasonable mechanical ceilings. Like they're actually pretty decent mechanically, but they just don't understand like the cooldown management, and they definitely don't understand like the one thing that pros are like way better at, which is really hard to learn, is the macro meta matchups, for lack of a better term. Like if you looked at like, if I don't know how much you were following like Team Overwatch and OWCS, like a lot of the players that we worked with just didn't know how to play in the team comps that we had. They didn't really know their role. They could play the characters they were playing okay, but they didn't really know their role, even though they were pretty mechanically good, if that makes sense. So
Okay,
like
that makes sense.
Necros, to be fair to Necros, so Necros has competed in contenders and done fine. But it's not been like a Kevster level or a proper level or anything like that. Necros is good. Necros is mechanically good. Necro is one of the few one tricks that I would say that could compete mechanically with some of the better players. But no, and I would also say that he's probably not even necessarily in the top 5 Genjis mechanically in the world. Maybe not even in the top 10.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Korean Genjis that are probably better. The fact that Kevster's like Tracer's not even Kevster's best hero by a long shot. So like, and the fact that he's like, I'm having to think about which one's better mechanically is pretty much all you need to know.
Okay, yeah.
That no shade to Kevster, Necros. Necros is a good player and one of the better streamer one tricks. And then finally, best game of Overwatch. Okay. What does this mean?
I was watching your Whack versus Falcons review a little
Yep.
bit, and obviously I understand that you're like a coach, so I get it, but you were still like nitpicking a lot, and I was watching that game thinking like this is like peak Overwatch 2. So I was just curious if you had a game that came to mind that was like peak Overwatch 2, like this is what Overwatch 2 looks like.
I think the Atlanta Reign, when they played in like early to mid 2022 with the Winston Sombra Tracer stuff, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
They were like almost, I wouldn't say flawless, but like you had to go really hard to find a problem with that team. Not just in terms of like mechanics and the way that they played the characters, but like their timing and team play and like planning stuff was like probably the highest level Overwatch that we've ever seen, next to the Shanghai Dragons back in like 2021, I think, who also played really high level. Basically the last 5v5 championship versus Atlanta Reign. Shanghai Dragons were playing like Briggs in, Sombra Tracer, Ball Diva stuff. Like they were unbelievably good at the video game. So like, you know, I'm always going to be the nitpick guy because it's more interesting to, it's like a good balance to the, okay, this is great, but also this is what needed to be done better. I think Whack and Falcons are both very good teams, but yeah, I think that those are like two teams that come to mind as being like legitimately like I would have a hard time coming up with problems in how they were playing. Yeah, that comes to mind immediately.
Okay.
I actually think the 2022 finals between Dallas and Shock was fairly high level as well from Dallas as a whole, outside of Edison. I think Dallas as a whole was pretty good. Oh, by the way, I'm talking to 2023 Atlanta Reign. Sorry, not 2022.
Yeah, I think I remember that team. It was like Lip on Sombra and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think also that entire season, I think Florida Mayhem played pretty reasonably as well, especially towards the end of the season. I mean, they won the championship, right? But I think that towards the back half of that season, I think they were quite a good team. Okay. Any other questions?
No, I was it.
All right, let's take a look at this code here.
Oh wait, I did. So the timestamp for the getting caught with pants down, that was in like that first YouTube video I sent you. Could we just like look at that super? It's like super quick, and then we
Oh,
can
in the YouTube video, not the replay code.
yeah, we can just do that for like 2 minutes. It's like super
Which
quick.
one? First or second video you sent me?
The first one at 3
First
minutes
one.
and 20 seconds.
Yeah, let me restart my stream here. So you're gonna need to like click on my profile picture or something corny because I've closed and restarted stream.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Okay.
So I like this isn't like the best example, but I hit like a lag spike, and this just like shows kind of what I'm talking about, where like when something unexpected happens, the next like 5 seconds of gameplay is just like the worst tracer you've ever seen.
So like here?
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
see like
yeah.
that
He just
lag
goes right
spike,
through the floor. Yeah.
and then I just like freak out, and then I get double blink into a wall.
I mean, yeah, but to be honest with you, this is just skill gap, right? Like you got to treat this like here's the thing. Here's the way to look at it. It's like this kind of stuff happens to everybody. Maybe not the lag spike, but some sort of like adversity, right? Like you make a really stupid mistake, or you messed up, or you got picked first, or you missed your ultimate, or you pulse bomb and killed yourself, or whatever, right? Like you got to treat this as like a skill that like next time this happens, I want you to hear my shrieking nasally voice in your head going, shut up, focus, right? And just relax. Yeah. Just let yourself go. Because like don't even look at this as like you need to carry the fight after you make the mistake or after the lag spike. Don't instead challenge yourself to remain centered. Just to remain focused.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like that's a really important skill. And that's something that you could be proud of is like, okay, yeah, we still lost the fight or I still messed up mechanically because I'm not that, like I messed something up, but like I didn't get upset. Like when this happens, just don't get upset. Don't get upset. Like forehead, right? But really challenge yourself to treat this like any other skill that you'd practice and don't allow yourself to get distracted because if it's not a lag spike, it's going to be something else. This is never going to go away, right? So you're going to have to learn to deal with it. This is really important skill in pro play as well. Like there's a lot of teams out there that have like they'll like go to a match and then like they'll either choke or they'll mental boom or the enemy team will run a comp that they weren't expecting or something like that and they just completely shatter, right? It shows a lot of immaturity. You got to be better than that. I think it's a good life skill as well, personally. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Anything else before we get into the replay code?
I guess if it matters, the Reinhardt on my team is my duo.
Doesn't matter that much. Thanks for the heads up. So we got Echo.
Oh yeah, you can skip. I switch Echo immediately.
Yeah, thank you. That get Echo skin is just awful.
What?
It's disturbing. Genji, Tracer. Okay, Genji time. Okay. What do you think of Venture so far? I think Venture's
I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think Venture's fun, but kind of bad, frankly.
So that's what actually my friend that I'm doing with, he was playing Venture, and he's one of my friends that's like kind of lower ranked, and he was like, Venture's overpowered, and I was like, what?
Yeah. I've yet to see a streamer play Venture beyond Diamond.
I think it's a little bit of a pub stomper.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, goofy angle there, but you did the fine job. It's good.
Oh yeah, wall climb.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Hang tight. They'll fix it, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really bad. So this area of the map's just a bit awkward in terms of where to hold, but I think you're doing fine with it, honestly. Like it's like, well, if I go here, but then I'm gonna get poked up by the Cassie, but then I can't play here because this is fine. Where you're at right now is fine.
Okay.
What I would do here though is I don't think I would go back on the Rhine, even though you do kill him. I think it's like one of the things that you need to understand with Genji is like hold your angle unless there's nothing to shoot on your angle. So in other words, I know Ryan is quote unquote overextended, but this is what makes Reinhardt really good. Reinhardt's really good at pulling people's attention and keeping it for a long time. This is a perfect example, right? Like he beefs his pen, he beefs his shatter, and yet look at how long he lives. And meanwhile, his team is
It.
yeah, and his team just completely pops off behind him. Meanwhile, look at what's happening directly behind you. So your angle's fine, right? He pens, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is free low. This is free low. You and your diva could 100% trade backlines here, and instead you're peeling back on a character that you didn't even kill.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
So the angle was good, but I see this all the time with flankers. Is they'll take an angle, somebody will run, like they'll do like overextend, and they run and go chase the overextended target, not realizing that now they're the ones overextending. Just hold the angle. Like once you're in a good position, hold the angle. Unless that Ryan was literally 1 HP and you're like, oh, can you finish it? Then yeah. Because you also had to use your dash to close the distance instead of like using your dash for damage as well.
Oh my god, that freaking grenade.
This is just mechanics, frankly. Like, I don't think this is stupid. This is very reasonable. Like, you came from above. You should have died. I'm trying to think if there's anything, like, really major here. Besides hit more Shuriken's forehead. I think I probably would...
I think I could have dashed, like, into the room to the mini.
Yeah,
instead of, like, hitting the wall.
The problem I think here is that when I would have dashed is when you got hindered.
Yeah.
Like right now, his crosshair's on you. So if you were going to dash, it would be now to throw off his aim, right? The problem is then you had to use your deflect because you get hindered. And then now you screw up your dash. And like you said, instead of dashing through him, you dash kind of clunk into the wall instead of dashing through here. And so now you're dead. So I actually think that was strictly mechanics. The good news is though, is because you did it like well in terms of like strategy, it still gets value. Like watch. So this is well timed, right? So you see what's happening, right? So 1, 2, 3 people drill dash. Cassidy's still low. Cassidy's still low. Cassidy's still low, and your team wins the fight. You see that?
Yeah.
So even feeding is fight winning if you actually do it correctly. Again, be really careful about chasing. You see what you're doing, right? Like you're peeling back, don't peel back. Like this is like when you see Ryan here, he's gonna demand like this is the thing. When Ryans do this, he's gonna pull resources this way, which is gonna expose them to your angle here. So how could you adjust your angle here?
I could either have just started in like the mega room, or I hold close right and like Shuriken, the Mercy, and the cast.
So you start here exactly, and then as the Ryan pins, you actually move this way, right? And then all of a sudden you got a free blade set up right here, or like you said, you could have started in here and done the exact same thing. But yeah, don't chase this Ryan. Don't do it because now, I mean, look at this. Come on, this is Christmas. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're not on an angle. And so now you actually have to take the time to reposition and you're not in a position to like help your venture at all. So like it's the same problem. Like you're starting on a very reasonable angle and then losing it to pursue a tank. I don't know that I would pursue anybody. Like unless it's like a 1 HP Widowmaker, play your angle. Little early on the deflect here. Dash is good. Right there, you need to right click first. And then right click again because he's in the middle of a reload. Good kill though. Yeah, that was fine. Nice job. Okay. To be honest, I think you could be like more ratty up here, if that makes sense. I think you can. I don't think you need to fish for the deflect immediately. You have a superior angle here. Just poke and poke and poke and poke and dance and poke and poke. And then if you get in trouble, then you can just dash out and then you go back and do it again. Okay. You don't really need to be scared of venture until they're like up close or whatever. This is like too early of a deflect. You know how like I was just like screaming, "Don't waste your deflect! Don't waste your deflect! Don't waste your deflect! Use it to win a fight!" Right? This is kind of like a budget version of that. It's not as bad as like using a deflect in main, but it's also like this deflect, there's really no reason for them to shoot you here. So like, this is too easy for them to see coming, right?
Yeah.
Put a little bit more pressure out first. Juke, throw some shurikens, maybe even take a little bit of damage, then deflect. That's when you're going to get your maximum value. Because once again, we're in the same situation where like, okay, at least this time you got your cooldowns forced. But honestly, like when you get your cooldowns forced, don't go, okay, well, I have no cooldowns. Like I have to play on main. No, what should you be doing right now?
Getting ready for my next angle.
You got it, right? You're about to have your cooldowns back in like 5 seconds. You can already start repositioning up under here, like sitting, wall climb up, throw some shurikens, wall climb up, and then now you have your cooldowns. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same problem every time. It's like your initial angle is good. You lose it because you chase, or you use your cooldowns early and don't retake it. Good blade timing. Good. Ryan dies. Nicely done. Good blade. Well timed, well set up. Good patience on going for the backline as well. Like that was really good. Like this stuff right here always hurts, but it's perfect. They're totally out of the fight. Now Ryan dies because of that. And you don't get traded. And then you can go get them anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice job. Go take your angle again. Take your angle again. I'm begging you. Begging you to take your angle again. Wow. That's all right. Okay. Maybe you're just like poking because you like knew you weren't going to fight close. I'll cut you some slack. This is an awkward one. This is too far. Good deflect. Yeah, the only thing here is I just think that the angle that you took was bad. The way that you ducked in here made me think that you're going to flank this way, but you didn't. You were like went up here and then like went all the way across here. If that was your initial goal, then where should you have been 9 seconds ago?
Probably like either in the mini room and I wall climb up.
Yeah. Here.
Honestly,
here.
yeah, probably there.
Yeah, you got it. And that needs to be a better prediction from you. Like you know that there's going to be somebody here, and if they're not here, then you can also use this position to just shoot for yourself, right? And so this is kind of the first time where I think your initial angle is just strictly bad, right?
Yeah.
And that's why this goes poorly because it's waiting. You maybe didn't have to use dash, but it was reasonable to use dash to close the distance there because they were so far away. Yeah, it's not good. That's pretty much it. Wait. Right. Okay, we're going to go gank squad here. Maybe this will work out. Reasonable. Not very fun.
Like it still worked because like my
it is worth. It's risky because this is why this is when you would go like, okay, normally I wouldn't pursue a play like this because how far away from you from the backline are you here?
Really far.
Right. So you got stuck here, so I'm not going to blame you for it, right? But in reality, there's no real reason for this Cassidy to chase you this far. Like once that you see deflect here, and you dash out, like there's just no reason for this Cassidy to do this because you're no longer a threat. So you could go back here. Now, it ends up working out really well, but just keep that in mind. Proximity is what forces the Cassidy to chase you and to look at you. There was really nothing forcing them looking at you there. That being said, you cycling your cooldowns there and playing bait and all that kind of stuff, that was well done. Okay. Notice how simple this whole review has been, you know? Nothing super complicated.
Yeah, I think my main issue is just holding angles. I take an angle, I need to just...
Yeah. Think about where their supports are going to be or their squishies are going to be or what angle works for you to do good damage. What's a good short off angle, right? And then just don't use your cooldowns to run away from that angle to chase a target across the map. Just fight what's there, you know? Fight what's there. This is a pretty awkward spot map, I'm not going to lie. I think what you're doing now is fine. There's really no good position here. Little fortunate that Ryan died, and this is maybe another one of those circumstances where, I think here your priority needs to beat this guy here.
I didn't notice he was there.
It's just a little bit, sometimes you get a little sucked in on tank. Because I don't think it's an accident either that... when you were talking about holding the angle, it was because you were chasing Ryan.
Yeah.
This guy is so lucky. That guy literally got caught on the railing. Check this out. Or no, in this. Wait, what? How? Just stop. That's crazy. Like, go. Dash. Nice. Dash. Oh my gosh. Agony. Okay. Good. Like, that's fine. Why? Why is this fine?
He was low and he's like already close to me.
And that's it, right? He's there. He's here. Like, your tank damage is not bad. Like, it's actually pretty reasonable. It's just really bad at range, right? And you wouldn't want to use your dash for it. So if he's here, I'm not going to be like, stop shooting the tank. Shoot the squishies over here. No, shoot the freaking tank. Shoot this guy, right? Just don't shoot him when he's across the map. And then here, this also affects your target priority. Like, where obviously, like, you should go for Mercy here. But also, you wouldn't go for Venture. You'd go for Cassidy. Why?
Because he's closer.
Right, he's closer. That's it. Yeah, nice job. Good job. Blade's have been pretty reasonable. Like, mid-fight stuff, like you're getting the timing down. Yeah, let's take some notes here. So, Genji, pretty simple, right?
Yeah, I think just hold angle.
Short, off angle, pre-fight, mostly good. Needed a teeny bit of work. I think, obviously, there wasn't like a wealth of gameplay to look at, but I will say that would be something that you would benefit from. Because that second point Blizzard World thing was like almost game-losing mistake, right? I mean, you might actually lose this game. I mean, that's why they capped second, was because you were not there. And then you ended up dying and doing nothing anyway. So just make sure that you're getting on your case. And then the second thing is like when you are on a good angle, don't go chasing targets if there's something close to shoot instead. Especially getting distracted by tanks. Okay. That was mostly it. I think your cooldown cycling was pretty reasonable. The blade timing was pretty reasonable. I would just keep working on mechanics like anything else, but I don't think that there was like any like, I mean, it was fine. It really was fine. Okay, any questions about that?
No, I think that honestly, watching that back, I think those are my biggest issues.
Yep. But that's good. I think like actually you have a pretty simple problem, right? And I think the other stuff that you did was pretty good. And I think that you should just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Tracer attack here. Now, any particular questions with Tracer that we didn't talk about in the previous questions? Anything particularly about this this map or this attack here?
I guess, I mean, we'll see as it goes, but like this, I think if I remember correctly, we almost get full held. So like, yeah, I think it was just a really rough attack first point. And I was definitely struggling.
Okay. We're off to a good start here.
That's my duo.
All right. You can see the relation. I would just set up and spawn here and just chill. Live. Wait. He's gonna
Their mate
blow
was
up.
on to me. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was kind of getting rough.
I think once you start seeing that, though, or hearing that, like you could clearly see this maze by yourself, and you know your team's respawning. You need to duel this May.
Okay.
And this starts with a blink right now, right?
I guess my thought was like, I was just gonna keep waiting until we had like an actual fight, because like,
but you're not gonna have an actual fight. Like, look at where this May is, and look at where like you don't even need to see my perspective. You hear stuff. You could literally hear crap going on in the distance, and you could see like, wow, they are so far away. Take the fight now. Because worst case scenario, all of a sudden the Lucio shows up, then you run back to their spawn. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Like your priority needs to be when you see this isolated 1v1 is I need to be winning this 1v1. And I actually don't really like this so much. Like this is okay, I guess. Okay, this is good. I didn't like it initially because it felt like you were too far from the May, and but now that the Mercy's there, so like, okay, we're good. A little bit of trigger discipline here. Like right here. Pause the clip, blink, finish the clip, recall, she's dead.
Yeah.
That rock never knew what hit it.
I did get booped by Lucio, but I still should have been able to kill her.
Yeah. Other than that, it was fine. Reposition, take your angle. Yeah, the trigger discipline is biting you right in the butt. You see it?
Yeah.
And then this one as well. That's ugly. And the reason why that's ugly is it's not just mechanics. It's because you are realigning your crosshair, but by the time that your crosshair like finds the target, you're out of bullets and reloading. And then you're rinsing and repeating. Right? Pause the clip halfway through. Pause the clip even initially. Like just line the crosshair, pause, reline, pause, reline, pause, reline. But I could also give you time to utilize your blinks as well. Same thing there. Yeah. You could probably try and live in their spawn, but yeah, okay. Angle, 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 angle. This is not it. I'm okay, this is it. I guess if they're gonna push. Nice. You thought about it. I could tell. Okay. Oh, that trigger discipline is killing me. Like, it's also just bad mechanical hygiene as well, because it trains bad habits, right? Like, it trains bad tracking. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be allowing yourself to improve your mechanics by slowing the process down a little bit. And this is just like a giant mess. Was that one of those fluster moments?
Yeah, if you rewind it, my blink gets caught on that little road sign.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
So yeah, everything after that was just I've been really struggling with that type of stuff.
Okay. I mean that's partly unavoidable to an extent. Not the mental boom, but like the getting caught on stuff just based off the nature that the hero that you're playing, you know? So
yeah.
I also think that like this angle here, frankly, is garbage.
Should I be going right side and going like into the mega?
Yes. This angle only makes sense when
they're holding statue.
When they're holding statue, exactly. So I don't want to say this angle is objectively garbage. It's just objectively garbage with what they're doing and what they have been doing the last 3 fights.
That makes sense.
I mean, I don't need to elaborate. Ultimate is trash. I've made a discovery yesterday. You can't use your ultimate when you're in Grav as Venture.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, because the Grav lifts you like just a tiny bit off the ground, just a tiny bit, and it's just enough to where you can. It's like such an awful, awful, awful feeling. I mean, it's fine. It happens. I will say a little bit of trigger discipline. If you'd paused your crosshair when it locked on the Mei on accident and put it on the Mercy's head instead, you would have been able to kill the Mercy.
Yeah.
You have 450 damage if you can do just headshots, I believe. Somewhere around that number. Just don't mash the trigger down. Angle's good here. This is another example of trigger discipline. I was going to say, watch this right here. There's no way that this Venture has any chance of living at all if you just stop shooting right now. You actually did, I think, 8 damage. Congratulations with an entire clip. Okay, so I'm going to shelve that one. I'm not going to keep beating you over the head with it, but just keep that one in mind. That definitely needs to be worked.
Yeah.
Angle here is good. I don't know why you abandoned the Mercy. I would have stayed there. So what was your logic here? This had to have been recently. So what was the rotation here? Anticipating somebody to be here or what?
Wait, can you let me play it again? Let me try and remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. You understand. Just it's the same thing with Genji. If your angle's good, stay and keep shooting.
Well, yeah, I should also try and be guarding res too, because the Mercy flew that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I gotta see this. I gotta see this.
It's friendly. It was friendly. It was friendly. He was being funny in chat.
Oh, okay. That's tragic. I was hoping some bad blood here. Keeps things fresh. So this is a pretty good angle. This is a pretty good angle. There isn't really a lot of, there aren't a lot of good options here. I think there's only really two options. This side of the map here or going here. But if they do clear high ground, this is nothing you could really hold. So what I do is I'd probably start trying to hold here. But if they do go high ground, they might clear you off and you might just have to accept that.
Yeah, my thought process was like, I saw they switched to Sojourn and it was the person I just killed. So I was like, out of spawn, okay. I can kill this person, but I didn't realize the Rhine was still in spawn. So, I mean, you'll see what happens.
I'm excited.
So now I'm like stuck over here.
But see, you're bailing. You shouldn't bail. Remember, it doesn't matter what you're shooting as long as it's a short off angle. This position is still good. What could this Rhine do to you?
Yeah, I guess nothing really.
You know, just keep it busy. Keep him busy. Make him chase you. Make him pin you. Wrap around. Worst case scenario, you run this way, grab the mini, keep running away. But you definitely don't run back to your team. Stay on him. Keep him busy. Because now you're as good as dead.
Yeah.
Hold your angle. If somebody could test you, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a Roadhog, right? You're built for that. You're built for that. And so, like, I don't even need to really look at this fight because I know that you're going to be unimpactful, and you have been. I mean, your damage numbers, and like, I don't even know if you've reached 3 digits yet. I mean, yeah, this fight is just almost completely irrelevant. Yeah, exactly. But honestly, like, it's almost completely irrelevant looking at that because it was just so bad positionally. And I think it was bad positionally because you got scared of, like, this is the irony. Okay, this is the irony. On Genji, you were willing to chase Rhine because you felt like he had overextended. You felt like I'm not saying that you're an idiot, but you felt like he'd overextended, so you wanted to go punish that overextension. Here, you're actually in a great position to just sit and punish tank and harass tank, and you're like, oh no, it's a tank, I can't shoot that, I have to run away. That's kind of it's a misunderstanding of fundamentals. The priority is always positioning. If your positioning is good, it does not matter what you shoot. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right? Fine. Does that make sense, by the way?
Yeah, I think I'm just like thinking about too much like who I want to be shooting and more like shoot who is like on the position and the best position will allow
exactly
me to shoot
exactly. Start with where do I want to be positioned, not who do I want to be shooting. Now, if you have 2 great choices, then you ask yourself, who do I want to be shooting? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like there, like you could have gone top right if you're like, oh, I don't want to play with the Rhine, I want to go shoot squishies. Then you could have gone top right above point. But where you were was where you are. So just play there. Positioning is always more important than target priority because good positioning with Tracer will mean that you're often shooting squishies more anyway, because good positioning with Tracer is usually on a flank. Now, if the Rhine is in his own backline, yes, that's going to mean that you're shooting Reinhardt more, but that's okay because he's mispositioned too, right? That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Prioritize your position. Like, this is fine, but there's also a really good argument for you just doing what here? You see it?
I could just be shooting Mercy and Venture.
Exactly. You could just shoot Mercy and Venture and Pulse and whatever you want to do from here. And guess what? If you do that, you're not caught out of position if you miss this. You don't have to use your recall. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that.
And it wasn't a bad play. I mean, it's a nice stick and all that. But I think that's like, again, like where like I guarantee you that you did that because it was Sojourn. Oh, hit scan. I can kill that, you know?
Yeah,
But
it was definitely that.
Your initial angle was really good, though. Like, it was perfect. Could not have been possibly been better. You had 2 blinks and a recall. And by the way, that kind of goes back to into one of your questions where it was like, blink management and stuff like that. That's where you're going to get punished for your resource management. Stuff like that. Where you're like using cooldowns to improve you're using cooldowns to chase that's the same thing with Genji. You're using cooldowns to chase targets that you want to shoot, not realizing that you don't need to. You have the target that you need right in front of you. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is going to be a little bit tricky to practice, but I would just treat it as like, just prioritize which angle that you want to hold and then just shoot what's available. That's how you min-max your cooldown management. That's also how you min-max your target priority. Okay, so Tracer, what needs to be practiced? Definitely the trigger discipline, right?
Yeah.
Practice in deathmatch, warm-up, ranked. You could actually practice trigger discipline in ranked as well. So like we talked a lot, generally people are like, oh, you practice positioning and so on in ranked. You could actually practice your mechanical stuff in ranked as well, I think. Especially something like trigger discipline, because it's constantly relevant. Like literally every fight, you'll be thinking about it. So that's something you can practice in rank. What else?
Taking a good position and just shooting who's on that position.
Ties good short angles, then shoot what's on that position. Don't let target priority distract you too much. I think that was mostly it. There's the mechanical stuff. And then I think the only other thing was like, make sure like Genji, there's a couple of times when your angle was like kind of bad. Like the first point was a roll attack, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's just something you just keep an eye on. And I don't think I have anything else. Okay, do you have any questions?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Any questions, period, anything that you wanted to go over before we wrap this up?
I guess maybe just like for the Echo stuff, like just like a quick like rundown of like, I don't know, I just feel like I don't know how to play Echo, I guess.
Sure.
I feel like I'm trying to play her too much like a poke hero and like not like Genji and Tracer.
Yeah. You will really, really benefit from the 30-minute replay review I did yesterday on stream, which I just posted. Let me link it for you.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, let me link it to you. Because we talk about that a great deal. Why are the timestamps not working? So you need to skip a little bit further forward from here. But yeah, we talk about like what a tempo character is, which is basically just like cycling your CDs and going for like these assassination plays and then rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. It's like the exact same thing.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, you want something hot? Positioning with Tracer or Genji, the stuff we talked about, just like find the best angle for you to hold and then don't like chase targets across the map, also applies to Echo.
I feel like I am better about like holding a position on Echo and just shooting.
Because the spam's better.
I feel like I'm taking too long of angles. I feel like because she's a little more fragile than Tracer Genji, so I feel like I'm a little more like passive and scared, so I'm taking like really long angles. I don't know if that's bad.
Right. It depends on the comp. Like you always want to play your range. The difference between Echo and Tracers, they're clearly short range characters, and Echo is more of a hybrid. So look at the enemy comp and find a good angle and then experiment from there.
Okay.
Yeah, she's tricky. She's definitely tricky because you have all that plus mechanical stuff as well. But yeah, give that video and watch and let me know if that answers your questions.
Okay, yeah, I will.
And as always, like I think the best thing you could do is get that alt account and then just grind whatever you need to be working on that alt account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with your practice.